I'd like to gavel in. Welcome to the Assembly Public Safety Committee. It is Friday, September 29th at just after 10 a.m. Can I have the table itself introduced, starting with you, Mr. Rivera?
Felix Rivera.
Fred Dyson.
Amy Castile.
Christopher Constant.
Eric Croft.
Dick Trainey.
Pete Peterson.
Forrest Dunbar.
Amy Kibaki. Suzanne LaFrance.
And Suzanne LaFrance is here as well. She just said that, but it may not have been picked up. We have a big crowd here today. How many are members of the public who would like to testify? If you just raise your hand. 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then various other interested parties. But the hold on just 1 second. So we only have an hour, right, Mr. Chairman?
That's what I wanted to say. At 11 o'clock, we start budget. So this meeting will end at 11 because we have to start the budget.
Yeah, so sometimes we have a little more flexibility and we can put audience participation at the end and get to it and just extend. Anyone who took the time to be here, I don't want to shirk them. So we usually have 3 minutes when it's assembly meeting. If you can keep it to 2, I'd appreciate it. And I would move that we move audience participation up for people that have come here. Is there any objection to doing that?
2 minutes if you would. That would
Yeah, instead of just suggestion, we'd like to limit it to 2 minutes because we really have a work session and then we're constrained on the hour. So people can just stand up and speak loudly or they could come to the front. We don't really have a podium. And so in audience participation, who would like to share their views? You, sir, I know wanted to. You were in the elevator sharing your views. So
Sure.
stand up.
Yeah, I'm glad to share my view. I'm living here since '96.
Give me your name and spell last name, can you?
Yeah, my name is Lars Gleitzmann. Gleitzmann, last name spelling is Gleitsmann.
Thank you.
And I'm self-employed and living here in Anchorage. And as said, I've been here since '96. And in '96, none of my many friends here talked much about crime. You know, crime existed, but it wasn't something that anybody felt the need to talk about. And back then, I didn't know any crime victims. And like for example, you know, when I took a motorhome to visit an air show for business, people attempted to break into my home. And I made the mistake of not even calling the police because I figured, well, what difference does it make? And when I was attacked by what I think was a drug addict in the downtown area.
Recently?
No, that was last year. I fended him off and didn't get any injuries, so I figured, well, what difference does it make? So now I'm thinking I made a big mistake of not calling the police in both cases, and I wish I would have. So, so many of my friends had things stolen from them, their property vandalized, and I'm not even talking about the tire slashing of 90 airplanes on the airport. I'm talking about, the general crime here. And when I see stuff in the newspaper where they're saying, oh, crime was much worse in the past, I think that must be a planned accounting error. So to me, the Senate Bill 91 is like a failed progressive social experiment, and I hope it will be rescinded.
Thank you, sir.
Good timing.
The next person who would like to testify. We don't have a list, so whoever's up. You'll be next, ma'am. Go ahead, sir.
I came up here in the 70s in the military.
Can you give me your name, though?
My name is Matthew Grosky. And I'm
You have to move up a little bit. It can't block the interpreter.
okay, sorry. I live over in Ocean View. And I came back up here about a year ago. I retired and came back home. I'm appalled, okay? A crime incubator is being run here, okay? And I listen at night and I hear volleys of gun. I live in Ocean View, and I'm a block down from where I lived for 20 years. I listen to gunfire, and I was in Mr. Nixon's army. I know the difference between a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. And I'll hear 3 volleys of gunfire, 7 shots, 8 shots, 11 shots. And about once every month, they're shooting the place up. Johns Road's turned into a dragway, okay? And nobody's doing anything about it. And what happens is, once they're let to do it, more of them do it. They're coming. It's like graffiti. If you don't cover that up, you're gonna be graffiti central. New York City, when Giuliani was in there and Kelly was his police commissioner, it's called broken window theory. Here's a building, it's got all these windows in it. Somebody breaks a window. You don't fix that window, within 2 weeks, every window in that building will be put out. Something needs to be done here, and it's not. And I don't, as a young officer in the military, I learned blaming things on people is a sign of poor leadership ability, okay? You don't blame things on people. If you're in command, you take command. It's about results, accomplishment. If it isn't, you're gone, okay? This isn't happening, so it doesn't matter to me, and I don't know enough about it because I haven't been here and watched the evolution of this, because it didn't happen overnight. Something needs to be done about it, and from what I see, you're the first line. Now, the police, I watched this neighborhood bulletin board.
That's 2 minutes, so if you can
Okay,
wrap
I'm
up.
done.
Well, you can conclude.
Ray Charles could see what needs to be done. Hopefully you guys can too.
That's a good conclusion. Ma'am, I had you next, and you're welcome to come as far up as those guys are, or the.
My name is Kim Koval. I lived here for 20 years. I'm speaking as a private citizen. Some folks know me from my nonprofit work. My house was burglarized 3 weeks ago. I live in Potter Valley Road. I live in one of the safest neighborhoods in this city. I lived in South Anchorage for 20 years. Never have seen this before. I grew up in Southern California, San Diego, LA. I left that for a reason, and I'm mad as hell. I'm mad because I had to file a report online, and nobody could be bothered to come and dust for prints. I'm mad that I spent $5,000 on a brand new security system, and my children have no idea why. We have 8 cameras now on my Potter Valley home up in Potter Valley Road. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. 3 other homes got hit on Potter Valley Road. They're afraid to report it because they don't want their home showing up on that little map that they got hit. I started Take Back Anchorage. It's a Facebook page. Please go on there, like it. I am posting as much information as I can. I did it out of anger. Now I'm doing it because I want change. I want my city back. I came here for a reason. I came here to make a difference. I came here to raise my children in a safe environment. I don't want to go back to California. They can have it.
Yeah.
I don't want it here. Please do something about it.
We'll just start in the front, ma'am.
My name is Bonnie Lilly, and I live in the Muldoon area. And prior to SB 91 going into effect, I really wasn't into guns very much at all. I don't like them. I'm afraid of them. But I'd go nowhere without it now. Our area has turned into a drug dealer's haven. And the reason why is that SB 91, it doesn't sound like it's a bad thing to let people do misdemeanor crime and it's not going to make a difference. But what it's doing is it's making money readily available for people that are addicted to drugs. Therefore, it's drawing in every thug wannabe this side of New York is coming to Alaska to make a quick buck. And if you go down my street, you will see real thugs, not pretend thugs. We're talking gang, shoot you dead kind of machine gun toting kind of drug dealers living 4 houses down from me. Now, this law that's keeping the misdemeanor people out of jail is just making it payday for the drug dealers, and they're coming in on droves. You're kidding yourself if you think this isn't going to get worse, and worse, and worse. And it's going to take a lot of work and effort to bring it back. But you guys are the eyes and ears of Anchorage. The Muni can help by these homes that are being rented by the drug dealers and thieves that have crap strewn everywhere, stolen cars everywhere. They can force these people to clean them up. They can force the landlords to kick these people out. So it really needs to get a grip on it. On my street alone this year, there's been 6 shootings. In the drug dealer's house, 4 houses down from me, the cars are all bullet hole ridden. I mean, it's so bloody obvious, and there's nothing I can do about it. Police don't come. They don't patrol that area, and it's such a high crime area. They're actually saying that we're beating out Mountain View over in the Muldoon area. they're joking on, online. So please do something about it.
And thank you, Bonnie. And will you don't have to say it here, you shouldn't, but will you send me by email just the street you're on so
Sure,
I can go?
I'd
Yeah.
Love to.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Suzanne,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are some more folks out in the hallway, and we've got a chair there and a chair here. People can stand behind us. And
So everyone can come in. We're very tight on time, and we're trying to rewrite this resolution. Hold on just one second. I'm telling people that didn't hear. And so we're having 2 minutes of public testimony. If you can keep it to that, and we're trying to get it done. Were you next, sir? What's your name?
Sean Williams.
Okay.
I'm the one who organized the business group about a week. Okay. Sorry. So I organized the business group about a week and a half ago, and we had some interesting testimony. What I'd like to share is that I think the core of this issue has to do with prescription drugs. I had knee surgery about 3 or 4 months ago. I was prescribed 60 Percocet at the Native Hospital, Alaska Native Medical Center. 60 Percocet. I used 8 of them, so I had 52 of them sitting in my cabinet at home. I had a family member and a friend ask if they could have some. I mean, these are people that I would not have imagined would ask for something like that. And I ended up taking that medicine back to the doctor at our follow-up meeting and explained to him that he prescribed way too many. And he took those and disposed of them. But I think that's a very, very important issue that we need to address. And I realize that may not be a state level issue, but if it's, it may not be a city issue, but somehow that's some way that we can address that. The second thing I want to say is the police not showing up for 2 or 3 hours when there's a victim or somebody finds a stolen vehicle, you're basically giving permission to the criminals to keep going. And eliminating jail sentence for the first felony, that's absolutely absurd. Punishment should be, and I realize this is a state thing, SB 91, but we've got to tackle this. So anyhow, that's where my frustration lay. And if you guys can help us out with the city police department and have them respond, I don't care what that takes. I don't know if you're understaffed or you're up to par, but not showing up is not acceptable. That's right.
Thank you, and perfectly on the time. So how many people would like to testify now?
we got some on the side over here.
All right, who's next? Sir, let's just go left to right.
My name
Try
is
and go to
Stephen
10.
Duplantis. I am a pastor at Anchorage First Assembly of God. A couple of weeks ago, one of our services had our cars parked in the parking lot. Tires were slipped. Police never came out for it. We found syringes in our yard. Pretty big area. It's on 15th and C. Landscaper refused to cut our grass because there was so many in there. We had to risk our church members. We had to go out and clean that stuff up. We're at a point now where we have to fund safety around our church. We're thinking about putting a fence around our church. Now, how welcoming is that to the community if we put a fence around our church? We're here to help the city out with the homeless and the indigenous and the people who are hurting. And our funding is going to something different now because it's very frustrating. I don't know if you guys have ever gone out on the Coffee with the Cop and talked to these guys and find out how frustrating SB 91 is to them and to get their side of it. And this is really important that we love our police officers. And when you call up, they should be able to come out immediately. And as a church, as a pastor, we want to do what we can to help this community with whatever we can, with the police, with you guys, with the homeless or whatever. But if we're taking our funds and have to vent it towards something else that we really shouldn't be, like surveillance cameras, why should we need that as a church? Why should we need a gated fence? Why should we need we've got broken windows and people actually break in and set up camp in the bottom floor, and we didn't find out until like a day or two later. It's really hard on us. We're here together. We're supposed to be working this together. And as far as rewriting this resolution, you know, SB 91 needs to just go away. And
Pastor, thank you. What's your name?
Stephen Duplantis.
Thank you. Who's next? Yeah, let's go ahead, sir.
My name is Solomon James. So I live in Skinner. Right down the road, it took the police 4 months to be able to get a crackhead apartment kicked out. There was one overdose that my sister and I personally saw. There was a shot that went off and scared the crap out of my sister. She was scared for her dog, okay, and ran inside. That's unacceptable. My car almost got broke into last night. 3 nights ago, I saw somebody trying the handles on my car. Police don't show up. What can we do unless, the only other option is if you don't do anything, the police don't do anything, the public are gonna have to take up arms with themselves. Unless we get results, we have to defend ourselves. It's unacceptable.
Thank you,
Change
sir.
it or get out.
Yeah, you, sir, in the back. What's your name?
Good morning, Assembly. My name is John Schumacher, Standing Bear. Thank you for listening to me. Mr. Traney, I live in your district, and since June, I've helped recover over 8 stolen vehicles, helped solve business burglary. I got my neighbors that are shooting out guns indiscriminately in the parking lot. Just coming there, tons of traffic, dealing drugs, prostitution, you name it, they're doing it. I've turned in over 140 license plates to Crime Stoppers in hopes of trying to prevent all this. I've had good results with APD, met with little resistance. One officer told me that I should just move. Dispatcher told me that I'm fabricating things and embellishing things. I just don't, I don't see how the Senate Bill 91 and letting criminals go is a good thing. For them just to repeat doing it. I have my family that I have to worry about, as well as 4 other families that are just in my immediate area. I find myself at night going site security just so I can catch these guys doing bad things, so I can get them caught and get reported. And I know they're going to see me on TV now, and I'm not afraid. I want them to know that they pissed off a lot of veterans and a lot of the public, and we're not afraid of you anymore. We know who you are. We got your plate numbers. Thank you.
Did we have more in the
One
back?
in the corner.
Okay, so can we go to the corner? We'll come back to you, ma'am. In the corner there? Just go ahead and speak up.
Well, I want to make sure Fred hears me, so. Fred.
What's your name?
Kate Laughlin. Fred, you know me. Eagle River is not immune to crime anymore. I don't know, well, you probably haven't been, but I don't know anybody in my neighborhood who hasn't had some kind of a crime committed. I live in a nice, quiet neighborhood. I find, just a few days ago, I found a checkbook and all the woman's belongings that were taken from her car 3 blocks from me. This is not out of the ordinary. I met an interesting couple in an Eagle River clinic the other day. They came from California with a little dog and $5. So they know the system, they're moving here. That man told me, if you live in Eagle River, move. He said, we are moving at the end of winter. We are moving to the valley because they are being told here to move to Eagle River because there's lots of room. This has got to stop. I'm not going to say please. I've heard a lot of people say please. Stop it. Thank you.
No, I had you, ma'am, and then I'll come to the side here, yeah.
Cindy Liming, Liming. When I moved here several years ago, it was safe for me to walk around downtown Anchorage. Now it's not. I'm calling this wonderful, awesome city Los Anchorage because it's becoming much like Los Angeles. Okay, I don't go anywhere unarmed, and I would hate to have to use it, but I have been accosted. I have been harassed. I have been followed by the druggies, the people that, and I turn around and I'll just go, you don't want to go there. Oh, you can't do anything to me. SB 91, nothing's going to happen to me. I can commit whatever crime I want because nothing's going to happen to me. Well, I am one pissed off veteran, okay? I was in the Navy, I served in the Navy, and I have never seen such a crime as I have here in this great, great town. And I am sick of it. I am fed up. I am actually never been scared in my life, but I am fearful for my life sometimes when I walk around downtown. People say, well, I go downtown. I love it down here. I love the shopping. I love the food. I love the restaurants. I love my friends, getting together with my friends for a couple of beverages after work. SB 91 has got to be flushed down the freaking toilet, okay? And that's all there is.
I'm going to go to the side here, and then is there anybody else in the big central? Yeah, okay. All right, so on the side, were there two over there? Go ahead, sir.
My name is Mark Nussbaum. I'm a lifelong resident, born and raised in Anchorage. I currently live in Chugiak, where I've started a community watch program, both in my neighborhood and surrounding areas, the Northwood subdivision. You know, I understand the idea of where SB 91 came from. I questioned it at first. You know, we're overcrowded. We need to save money. We need to keep the petty criminals out of the jails. But we just built a multi-million-dollar prison in Goose Creek to bring back the Arizona and the Colorado inmates. I happen to have had a conversation with an inmate that was just recently released from there, and it is not overcrowded. It's empty. So I say fill it with car thefts and shoplifters. Just yesterday, I followed a post on the Stolen in Alaska page where a citizen witnessed a couple walk out of Fred Meyer's on Northern Lights with a cart full of goods, and they followed them down, where that man pulled his pants down, showed his butt to her, and said, "Kiss my ASS. You can't do nothing. The cops aren't going to come." Same with vehicle theft. How long did it take the other day when you recovered that vehicle, Ms. Demosky?
After I called 911, about 30 minutes, and the perpetrators came back.
It's about 23 minutes too long for me. There's 3 dedicated APD vehicles for the Eagle River Chugiak area. There needs to be more. I'm sick and tired of it. I have right here SB 54 and 91. I have right here some statutes documenting this paperwork right here tells you, everybody here in this room, that if somebody comes and steals my car, they do minimal jail time. If I catch them and crack them in the knee with a bat, I'm going to do more time than them. That's bullshit. Something needs to be done, and something needs to be done immediately. I don't want to see SB 54. I want to see subtract SB 91. Thank you.
Ma'am on the side, yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Lena Lafferty. I live right off of Lake Otis and Abbott. I was at the meeting, the crime meeting that we had last week, and I wanted to tell you some things. 3 things. The Nextdoor app is great. Families, people getting together, taking pictures of, indiscriminate people, letting us know. It's a great app. What's the other thing I want to say? My daughter works at Walmart off of 88th. They steal stuff like it's going out of style. She's 19, but she can't do anything. So it'll piss off her father, who's a Marine, retired, and it'll piss off me, who's a Navy veteran. And we don't want that. And it's not even for just my daughter, for everybody. And with everything that's going on, my last thing is that you don't want to have people having on-site consumption of marijuana. We don't need all that right now. As someone who cares about her community, wait a little while, because we have enough with, we don't have enough APD officers. They told us that at the meeting. There's not enough people out there to protect us. They're trying to do the best that they can with what they have, and there's just not enough. And I don't want to add to everything that we have with people, getting high on the streets of Anchorage because, they go smoke and they came to it in their own home. We don't need that. I don't want that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there more on this side? Did you just come in, sir? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. 2 minutes, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Doug Lampkin. I'm here on behalf of BOMA, President of BOMA, Building Owners and Managers Association. We represent about 180 members of property managers, real estate investors, people that are ingrained in this community and people that are in every one of your districts, people that are being affected daily. This is not a conversation that just happened last week or overnight. This is a prevailing conversation we have at almost every board meeting and every luncheon that we put on. It's getting to the point now, and I appreciate the assembly starting to raise this mantle too. I can mirror just about every sentiment in here, and that's not my purpose here. We are also working on a resolution to either repeal SB 91 or retract some of the disparaging aspects of it. And we certainly would like to work with the assembly to go forward with this and then create a positive solution for our community. Because right now it really is community. Being somebody who was raised here, it's time to take our community back, and that's really what I think everybody's talking about. Just 2 weeks ago, we did meet with the mayor and Justin Dahl on this very same topic. So we're here for you. We'll be also putting forth a resolution to send down to the state legislature, and I'll be available for any comment afterwards.
Thank you, Doug. You have a copy of the resolution here with its points. Good.
I'll send it out for them.
Ron, 2 minutes, not 3, Ron.
No, I'll make it real short.
Okay.
Hey, remain calm. Been next to the shelter. I'm the guy with the sirens, the bullhorn. Remain calm. Don't get frustrated. They will help you. It's a very slow, challenging process, but believe in the system. If you believe in civil disobedience, remember you're going to suffer the consequences. Follow the law and be calm. Police didn't show up. You made a little noise. Stay active, but remain calm. You'll reach a frustration, back up, re-energize, and stay out there. Make sure you're safe. We all have families, including these people, the fire department, police department, paramedics. Dialogue is important, and you have to take action. It's effective. So, thank you to the assembly. Thank you to the police force. Thank you to Melinda Freeman. They will meet. They will dialogue. The action is a little slower than what you can expect. And those police, once in a while, they will show up if they're on other calls. It is affecting the whole city. It truly affected me as a hotspot. And I hate to tell you my time on the salt, but hey, I'm out. But thank you all for your testimony. They're good people.
So we said at the beginning we were tight, but this is such an important issue and, to everybody here, to us, that I don't want to cut anybody off. So we're going to continue public testimony. It'll probably mean we won't get much of a work session. I'll schedule another one. I may even, and that's what Ms. Domboski and I were talking about, schedule a town hall in a bigger room so we can get more people's views. But so if we can finish that and we'll get what work we can, but I'm not going to cut anyone off. So just a show of hands who's still wanting to testify. Getting near there. You already did, sir?
Yeah, just a sentence. Just a quick
if-
sentence.
Two
91 creates a system where the police is an accountant of crime and the police can't keep up with it.
All right. If you want to send us more email back there in the back, ma'am.
My name is Amanda Price, and I appreciate the emotion that is being put forward to everybody here, but more than the emotion, more than the anecdotes, more than the fear that everyone in this room and everyone in our community is feeling, because our crime rates are skyrocketing and there is no accountability. There's a systemic failure at play, I believe. System fail number one, the public trust in you all is eroding even further. System fail number two, the public trust in our police department, something that we cannot afford, is eroding. The irresponsible language of this bill is landing on our police officers, the men and women that serve this community. I've heard multiple people unwittingly blaming police for what is in fact a fail of the legislation as it is written. Police officers are doing their very best. Other unintended consequences include the fact that we are shifting costs to organizations that now have to create workplace violence prevention planning, for example, our hospital facilities that are becoming a clearinghouse. Our law enforcement has no option when they respond and they have an individual that they cannot make an arrest to. They are taking these individuals under the abuse of substances to the hospital. responsible for caring for these individuals. These individuals are at times violent. Many times our police officers have to come back in response to the individuals. Our healthcare facilities have no idea what to do. They are scrambling in a statewide capacity. They are scrambling in nursing homes and emergency departments across this community and across this state. So we are putting at risk the men and women that are going to work every day to provide service to our community, our law enforcement officers, and nurses, and physicians, and everybody that works in our healthcare facility. Simply unacceptable, and we expect something to change, and we expect you to do it now.
Excellent. What was your name, ma'am?
Amanda Price.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead. I can't see you, but if you stand up, I can. There you are.
Hi, my name is Keely Olson, and I have been a victim advocate for well over 25 years, both here for 10 years, working at STAR, and for many years prior to that, working down in Washington State. I started a victim advocate program at a district attorney's office in Olympia, Washington, and worked very closely with law enforcement and DAs during that process. I learned a lot about the criminal legal system, and I could see like a train coming through a tunnel at me, bearing down what SB 91 was going to do. And I tried to warn just about everybody at the time. We spoke out against it. We wrote letters to the legislature. I was part of a victim advocate team that was offered an opportunity to go and talk to the Justice Commission and the Pew Charitable Trust. They gave us less than 2 hours. I had to fly to Fairbanks. They dismissed just about every concern that was raised by victim advocates all over the state, including the Office of Victims' Rights. They did not understand that they were comparing apples and oranges, that when they were comparing this data that they had to other states, that they were talking about states that already had infrastructure in place for decades that has never been in place here. It took me a while to realize that there's no misdemeanor probation in Alaska. There never has been. So we never have made misdemeanors matter. We've never made, that's the bulk of domestic violence right there. And if you don't hold misdemeanors accountable, guess what happens? You get felons, and you get serial offenders, and you get people who have no regard for the law. Now, we have hamstrung our law enforcement. We have cut down our DAs at the knees. We have said, we don't want you to be able to do your jobs. And they're trying, they're doing their dang best, but we've set them up with this system.
Keely, will you reach out to me afterwards by email or by phone? It's on the website. And I thank you for your testimony. Anybody else? Yes? Give us your name.
My name is Laura Hill. It's going to be hard to go after Keely and Amanda. But I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in a trailer park that was full of crime. I was afraid most of my teen years. So when I became an adult and I had children, I moved to the south side. Within the last year, we have had nonstop gunshots, robberies, break-ins, car thefts. My children and I now have a plan when we hear gunshots where we go to the front of the house and wait until it's over. My mom's house was burglarized last week. She called APD. She had $15,000 worth of stuff taken. She was number 60 on the call log. Nobody came out that night. She had to wait till the next day. They said it's completely backed up. Hopefully she'll get her stuff. I know that it's not law enforcement's fault, that it's like this because the law dictates what they can do. And that's a law that you guys put in place. You guys created, or not you, but legislation when they were creating SB 91, and we, because I work at STAR also, we're speaking out against it. This community is not set up for SB 91. We need more treatment programs. We need a detox facility. There's one in town with 12 beds. You cannot fix this problem without having resources like that in place. The prisoner reentry programs, most people can't even get into them until after they've been released in prison. So I think that the best bet to do really is to repeal SB 91, start over fresh. You cannot implement a program like this if you don't have the infrastructure in place. It's not safe for the community, and really what it's doing is it's harming the community. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's paying out of pocket for their stuff that's stolen. not allowed to because it's a public safety for them, because last year somebody was stabbed when they tried to, I'm at 2 minutes. So I'm asking you to please just repeal, start over fresh, and look at something.
Thank you, Laura. Anybody else here today? Yes, ma'am. You guys deceived me at first, didn't you? You didn't all raise your hands. Yes.
My name's Georgia Castura, and I live in Chugach. And I just want to address one thing that hasn't been addressed yet, and that is a situation in our neighborhood involving drug houses, 2 active drug houses, 2 blocks from our school. Come on, folks, if we can't protect the most vulnerable people in our community, then we're not fit to walk on this planet. So we need to do something about that. One of the houses was closed down, the other one is still active, and it's been active for 10 years. And I urge you to not even consider anything that would modify the existing bill, but it should be eliminated, and we need to start again.
Georgia, what's your last name? Young lady, what's your last name?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Hill.
No, Georgia, I meant.
Oh, I'm not really young.
Oh.
It's Castura. K-U-S.
Blonde lady in the back corner with her hand up. Eric.
And is there one more?
She was in the corner back
Yeah.
there. I thought.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I live in Muldoon, and I'm kind of new to Muldoon. I used to be one of those wonderful spoiled brats from the south side, so I wasn't familiar with crime at all. And being from Wisconsin, I'm kind of one of those big issues. So I moved to Muldoon this year, and I'm a newlywed, and I am appalled. It's actually funny, we laugh about it now, but it's hilarious. If you want to know why Mountain View is no longer the top dog in the crime, it's because of Muldoon, and I'll tell you right now. And I'm very proud of the detective that is in charge of this particular thing. But do you guys remember the clown? Remember the clown that came out of this? Well, there's a reason why that clown is on the news. This is my little theory. But ever since the clown showed up at the McDonald's, right as you're leaving town, let's say you went to shopping at Chicago, there was a clown standing at the McDonald's. We have had shots and shootings. We had a guy shot in the stomach 6 times at that McDonald's. Do not go to that McDonald's, especially at 2 and 3 in the morning. That McDonald's closes at 11 p.m. And every night, including last night, between 2 and 3 p.m., we have, or a.m., sorry, 3 p.m. We have a little friend there that lives in that apartment. I won't tell you her name because that would be bad, but she watches that McDonald's, and she says every night, 2 and 3 in the morning, there are little white cars that drive through the drive-through, and they're doing people doing heroin in their car, they're dealing and all kinds of stuff going on. And this has gone on for a year. I'm not even exaggerating. A whole year. We've had, sometimes people are shot there and you will never hear about it on the news. So do not go get McDonald's. And then if you see little white cars in that McDonald's, write down the license plate and give it to one of these guys here. It's really nuts. And so I have been trying for over a year to get up one street light. Now you guys know when you drive down Boundary, there's never been a street light between Grand Larry and Gillett. And I know Pete has tried for a while to get me a street light. I know that Bill has tried to get me a street light, and I know that the mayor is probably tired of me. But anyway, we need a street light there because,
Ma'am, that's 2 minutes, but go ahead and wrap up. And do you not want to use your name?
Centennial Park and McDonald's where people are getting shot and little kids are getting bothered. There is a pathway because of a vacant lot there, and that pathway has no street light. So if you drive down there, you're welcome to come down there. Between Joey and Isabella, there's no light. It's pitch black and
Ma'am, I kept everyone else to 2 minutes.
then there's some school running through there.
Mr. Chairman.
There will be shots tonight, I guarantee you.
Thank you. Yes. Are you a member of the public?
I heard that I am.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that I spoke with the mayor's chief of staff about that stoplight Wednesday evening. So they're working on it.
I'm not going to close public testimony on this. In fact, I may expand it. We'll have another meeting where we can either hear you again or hear others on this. But I am going to move on to the work session now. You spoke before, ma'am?
Yeah, but you said we could speak again.
No, I mean at another meeting. Sorry.
It needs to be where your meeting needs to be where more people can.
All right, so we'll have it at the
We'll have the
Lusac
Lusac
Library, and
yeah.
we'll have you all there. Have you spoken, sir? Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So we're gonna move on to talking in the 20 minutes we have now to talking about. I appreciate everyone, and we've all felt it. We've all had constituents say the things you're saying. We've felt it in our homes, and that's why we're here and addressing it. And we will come back and let you tell us even more. I received proposed amendments from Mr. Dyson, Mr. Dunbar in the form of kind of a edited version, word edit, and then 3 specific amendments from Mr. Peterson. I also received and distributed ACLU comments, which are very voluminous, go on for about 9 pages. I don't know that we will have time to finish. In fact, I don't think that we do, but we can start. In talking with Mr. Constant, in my opinion, I appreciate everybody not editorializing while we were listening to the testimony, so we could hear them and give that justice. The more I've researched this issue, the fundamental fallacy seems to me that we put, as Judge Rhodes said when I was talking yesterday, the cart before the horse. That is, Texas's experience was if you invest a significant amount of money in treatment and probation and reentry services, you can save money in 5 to 10 years. And I believe, at least, that we took the savings up front without ever doing the hard work that it demanded. And so I intend to add to the resolution we need to start with these kinds of things first, and that we should have. So that'll be an addition that I'll be proposing. Would you like to just go through in the order I received them? I received Mr. Dyson's, and then Mr. Dunbar's, and then Mr. Peterson's.
So,
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So mine were, like you said, not proposed as amendments. They were more as, so nobody else has them. They were comments that I gave to you, because I thought you were going to create kind of an S version. So I'd rather that they remain that way and we not go sort of through mine like they were amendments.
Okay.
Because there was some comments in there between you and me.
I apologize then. I didn't understand that.
No, it's fine. So I don't know, if someone has specific amendments here, I suggest we go through those rather than the ones that are more like S versions.
Then, because we're coming up to hard deadline, let's at least hear the rationale of Mr. Dyson's and Mr. Peterson's amendments. They're already in the packet, so I apologize if I skip past that. But anyway,
just make a quick point of order.
Yeah, Mr. Constant.
It's great to discuss potential amendments, but if in fact now we have a proposed public hearing that's going to be at LUSAC and we're going to experience tens of hours of additional commentary from the public, it feels to me like this whole process is out of order, in that we should hear from the public and then contemplate the solutions. That maybe these amendments even aren't germane after we hear hours and hours more of testimony.
Okay. The legislature is going to reconvene in later October. We want to give them our input. We've all heard from constituents on this issue. We've heard again today. I think an iterative process. Oh, and I'm sorry, Mr. Weddleton has been here for a long time for most of the public testimony, and he asked me to note that, and I got too busy. But he has been here for the vast majority of this, and so I think going through iterations, hearing, revising, hearing more, but we have to, as a practical matter, pass it on October 10th to get it down to the legislature for it to have any significance, to the extent it does. Well, we have entered. Well, it's a resolution. It passes and goes in the same day. I have Ms. Demboski.
Thank you. For my constituents in the room, which I know there are many, I want to make it very clear that just because Assemblymember Croft is introducing a resolution to support SB 54, it doesn't mean the whole Assembly does. In fact, I have every expectation to introduce a resolution to repeal SB 91.
Mr. Weddleton.
I just wanted to see, so this is a resolution. We can have a public hearing on a resolution as part of a regular meeting. Is that the intent then? So you would bring this up on the 10th, we'd have a public hearing, and then perhaps pass it after that?
I would. I'd like to have it before so we can pass it on the 10th. Yeah, and we can have more public testimony then. We could do all of the above. We could have more testimony in a structured committee meeting, work session, or otherwise.
It'd be good to let people know if we do it as a regular part of our meeting. So, I mean, can we on the 10th have this as a public hearing item?
We
can structure it
without
that
the
way.
2-week introduction or anything.
We can structure it that way. We can do it.
It's a resolution, so it doesn't. It passes when it is introduced, as opposed
We
to.
can, but we could have it on the public hearing part of the agenda, have a public hearing, discuss and pass it.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
It's not been introduced, it's not under F, 9F of the last meeting.
We introduced it and held it over, right?
We did.
No, it was not on the agenda.
It's not.
We didn't
I looked
introduce
for it.
Let's just check with the clerk.
You have to introduce it, and then 2 weeks later is public hearing, but as Mr. Trainee has indicated to me, as we talked sidebar here, Ms. LaFrance and I have spoken to, we're asking for the assembly to hold a town hall on a Saturday so people can talk, and that will give us enough time between, there's no way, if you're gonna have a public hearing, you can do it on the 10th. It has been introduced.
I think it has, but we'll get that for you. Mr. Peters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to bring up the idea that I know some people expect that the Assembly can change some of the laws that were created by the legislature, and I wanted to make sure that you understood that when the legislature creates criminal statutes, that typically those statutes supersede anything that we could pass at the local level. And so that makes it a little more challenging for the Assembly to make changes to SB 91 or to SB 54. And I just wanted to bring that information up so that expectations for us to change things immediately might be a little bit too high at this point. Thank you.
Did you have more? Yes?
Just a comment.
Okay,
if you
yeah.
don't mind.
And then-
I'd like to have a public hearing on this on a Saturday, because many of the people here don't have the opportunity to go to Juneau and testify. That place is structured against testimony. You and you were both down there. What do you have, audience for 20 people, seating for 20 people? We need to have a public hearing where people can come here in Anchorage and give testimony. Because otherwise, their words are never going to get down to the legislators in Juneau. Thank you.
Mr. Steele and then Mr. Dyson.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that we all take that extra effort to make sure our legislators know what we're doing about this. And
We'll invite them to the meeting, sir.
And we can invite them to the meeting, at least notify them. If it's televised, they could watch it from home in safety and not have to be out front and take the abuse. But I think it's important that the legislature know before they go to Juneau at what the situation is and what the feelings are.
I'd just like to note, Representative Grin and Representative Josephson are here for their safety. Representative Grin was not in the legislature when it passed, and Representative Josephson voted against it. So.
And Millette.
And what? Oh,
Sharice is in the corner bag.
Is Sharice here as well? Oh, there you are. And yeah, and Miss Millett as well. Mr. Dyson.
Yeah, thank you. I've submitted several suggested amendments. I want the whereas session to establish clearly the problems that we have. And we've already heard from our police officers and so on, and Commissioner of Public Safety, that the courts have not adjusted the bail schedule and so on, and the sentencing stuff that has been made their purview. We heard that sitting in this room last week that the prosecutor is saying that many of these crimes, it's 8.5 months from the arrest to the time they get to trial. So the quick, sure justice isn't happening, and then they can go on and do more crimes. And that everybody knows that the treatment isn't happening. The court-ordered treatment often is months before there's a bed available and so on. And the judges don't realize, and many police officers, that on the first or second arrest on a property crime, they can get the magistrate to set the bail, and preclude the release on their own recognizance, and so on. And those are problems there, and I want our whereas section to do that. I've drafted up a conceptual one on the therefores, Mr. Chairman, and you're in a position to comment on this, but at least on the small property crimes, at least on the second arrest, that the bail at a minimum be 3 times the value of the property that was taken, or something like that. And we'll try to get our legal experts to tell us, but we really want the punishment to be commensurate to the crime. That's absolutely an old biblical premise, and so on. But so, and I've made a copy of that, and I'll get it to you. And I also encourage everybody to look at the crime reports that were published in the paper that my guesses are accurate, but it shows that the motor vehicle and burglary stuff was starting up dramatically back in 2013 and so on. So we're seeing a continuation of a very bad trend. Oh, and by the way, our mayor has really been working at getting more police officers, and finally those are getting out of their academies and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, we all are going to have to choose what things are we going to forego in order to get more police officers on the street. And those are going to be tough decisions. Thank you.
We'll start that
Mr.
process at
Constant?
11 o'clock.
Yeah, on that topic, briefly, we have a committee meeting that starts in a few minutes where we're going to talk about basically the beginnings of how we cut $20 million out of the budget. And so we're coming into really tight times in Anchorage, and economically tough times. We see increases in crime. It's kind of hand in hand. I have one caution for every member of the public and all of my peers here, that what I'm seeing is this incredible focus on one piece of law that is going to be the solution to all of our problems. And bottom line is, if this happens, your problems will not be solved, because these issues have been ongoing for years. The state has cut funding for its recovery services, treatment services, detox services for decades. We're at a pinch point in providing the needed services that people will have to have if they're going to make it out of a life of crime and back onto kind of the right road. And so this one piece of legislation is not going to answer your problems. So we're going to focus on our part in this discussion, and we'll do what I'm sure is the right thing. But I caution everybody, this is not a cure-all. So
I wanted to state that Representative Millett also voted against it, just to be full disclosures. Okay. I guess the most productive that we are heading into a hard 11 o'clock. We will announce and post on the website a follow-up meeting so we can hear more in a room that has more room, either as a public safety or a work session of the entire assembly. We'll also have this up and it'll be available for public testimony, and we'll announce that. We hear all of you, and we're not done with public testimony on it or on talking about this important issue. But unless there's an objection, then I'll gavel out so we can start the next meeting. Did you speak before, ma'am?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I just have a question. Something you said earlier, that you have to have this to the legislature by the 10th of October.
Well, we have a meeting on the 10th. They gavel in later October, 22nd?
Well, you have to have it in by the 10th.
Well,
We have to
the
have
10th is our meeting. We have another meeting then the 24th, so we could kind of rush it down. But it'd be better if we passed it on the 10th and had it waiting for them when they gavel in.
So that leaves tomorrow or next Saturday for more testimony at the library.
I mean, Saturday.
Right.
It can't be tomorrow. You have to have public hearing.
I'm thinking next Saturday.
Well, we could do a Sunday meeting.
Eric, the clerk's office is checking, but they're not finding your resolution having been introduced.
Right.
But the resolution would go on the consent agenda, and we could pass it on, we can introduce and pass it on the 10th.
But his point was
Public
you want a
hearing.
public hearing, you have to introduce it and then have a public hearing.
Well, could we?
Mr. Gates, sorry.
Well,
And our meeting after the 10th is the 24th?
Yeah, and frankly, if they gavel in on the 23rd, we all see how slow the legislature is. There's no way, if we set send them a resolution on the 24th. I have no doubt we have competent legislators and the minority leaders shaking their head that they will take our advice to heart, even if they get it the day after they download.
Okay, so we can get it 10th, and but there'll be multiple opportunities for you to give us more feedback. Any objection to adjourning at this point? Thank you all for coming.